The following is a production of Neural Network Media and is completely AI generated. It is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Welcome back to the Neural Right. It is Wednesday, March 4th, 2026, and man, the world is literally on fire today. I'm Will Sterling, coming to you from the barn in Maine, and across the digital void we have the man who sees the patterns in the smoke, Dr. Walter Blackwood. Walter, it's a busy show today, isn't it? It's a heavy burden, Will. Truly, we're watching the scales of history tip in real time, and it's no joke, man, the weight of it's enough to make a man weep for the sheer complexity of the moral landscape we're traversing. Well, save the tears for a minute because we have a lot to unpack. Yesterday, we were talking about that SCOTUS smackdown on California's school secrecy laws, which was a massive win for the family unit, and we touched on the frankly insulting explanations from Bill Clinton regarding the Epstein tapes, but today the map is changing. We're talking about the collapse of the Iranian regime, a MAGA earthquake in the Texas primaries, and a level of government fraud that, honestly, makes you wonder if anyone in D.C. has a soul left. It's the dissolution of the old hierarchies, Will. The structures that held the post-World War together are, roughly speaking, they're being liquidated. Liquidated is one word for it. Let's start with Operation Epic Fury, because what is going on here? The CBS reports are confirmed. Ayatollah Khamenei is dead, gone. The head of the snake has been removed. And I have to ask, why are they doing this now? I mean, really, we've been told for decades that touching the supreme leader would trigger World War III. But now, the peace through strength model is actually playing out? You see, Will, the theocratic structure of Iran wasn't just a political system. It was a pathological manifestation of a devouring father archetype. And when you remove the cornerstone of such a brittle top-down hierarchy, well, the whole edifice begins to crumble into the abyss. The chaos dragon is breathing fire in Tehran. I mean, think about it. According to the Chertoff Group, this wasn't just a random strike. It was a decapitation. Operation Epic Fury, and I love the name, by the way, targeted the clerical leadership and the IRGC's top brass.
Right.
And while the media is busy hand-wringing about unclear justifications, the reality on the ground, according to the IISS, is that the Iranian people are in the streets. They're not mourning, they're celebrating. They're tearing down the posters of the man who oppressed them for 47 years. It's the tragedy of the individual finally finding its voice against the collective machine. But we must be careful, truly, because when a hierarchy collapses so suddenly, what rushes into that vacuum? Is it a new sovereign order, or is it just more bloodshed? Well, that's the thing. The ruling class here in America, the ones who gave Iran billions in pallets of cash, they hate this. They hate that Trump and Rubio actually pulled the trigger. They wanted the status quo of constant low-level terror because it keeps the defense contracts flowing. But if the regime actually falls, if the nuclear program at Fordo is finally dismantled, like CSIS is suggesting, that's a win for the American worker who doesn't want to send his kids to another desert war. It's bloody complicated because the maximum pressure strategy that you've championed, Will, roughly speaking, it's reached its logical conclusion. But now we have oil prices surging to $85 a barrel because of the disruption in the Strait of Hormuz.
We'll get to the gas prices in a minute because that's the real squeeze. But I want to stay on the rethink happening at home because it's not just Iran falling. It's the rhino establishment falling right here in the U.S.
You're talking about the Texas primaries.
I'm talking about Dan Crenshaw. Literally, the man was the poster boy for the new GA, the elite-approved, I'm a veteran, but I won't actually fight the ruling class Republican. And Steve Toth, a state rep, a pastor, just took him out in a primary.
It's a fascinating study in the competency hierarchy.
Crenshaw outspent Toth by, what was it, $1.3 million?
At least.
And yet, the voters in District 2 chose the man who stood on principle over the man who stood on electability and media presence. It's a rejection of the mask, Will. People are tired of the performance.
They hate you, Walter. The establishment Republicans like Crenshaw, they look at the MAGA base as a problem to be managed, not a constituency to be represented. Toth being backed by Ted Cruz and Turning Point, it shows the MAGA mandate isn't a fluke. It's the new baseline. Why are people surprised?
Ooh, that's the thing. The media, like Time and the Texas Tribune, they're trying to frame this as extremism. But is extreme to want a representative who actually represents you? Is it extreme to want a border? Because that leads us, roughly speaking, into the most heartbreaking news of the day.
You're talking about Kristi Noem's testimony.
I am. I watched it, Will. I watched the video from the Senate Judiciary Committee, and it's a horror. It's a bloody horror.
Secretary Noem testified under oath that the previous administration was, get this, literally paying traffickers. Think about it. The U.S. government was cutting checks to people they knew were abusing and trafficking migrant children.
450,000 children, Will, lost. Just vanished into the ether of a VR lawless bureaucracy. How do you lose 450,000 human souls? It's the ultimate failure of the devouring mother state. It claims to be compassionate. It claims to be helping the vulnerable, and instead, it delivers them into the hands of monsters.
And then they call us heartless for wanting to fund ICE.
It's no joke, man. It's the inversion of all that is good.
Noem says they've found 145,000 of those kids since January. That's good, but where are the other 300,000? Why aren't we seeing primal screams on The View about this? Yesterday they were screaming about the Tehran strikes, but 300,000 missing kids? Silence! Because the ruling class doesn't see those kids as people. They see them as units of labor or political leverage.
It's a breakdown of the moral order at the highest levels. And it's mirrored in the states. Look at Minnesota. The House Oversight Committee is having a hearing today with Governor Walz and Attorney General Ellison about $9 billion in fraud.
$9 billion. This is the Feeding Our Future scandal expanded. They weren't feeding kids, they were feeding the bank accounts of consultants and criminals. And the state leaders, they just watched it happen, or worse, they enabled it.
It's a lack of accountability that would be unthinkable in any other sphere of life. If a father fails his family on that scale, he is cast out. But if a governor fails his state, he gets a promotion from the media.
Exactly, and that's why the ICE operation's happening right now. Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago and Patriot 2.0 in Boston are so vital. They're finally going after the worst of the worst. Gaspar Florentino, an MS-13 gang member with a sex assault conviction, released by Fairfax, Virginia because of sanctuary policies?
It's the protection of the predator over the innocent. It's a pathology.
And Pam Bondi is finally suing New Jersey and California to stop them from blocking federal agents. I mean, really? We have to sue our own states to allow the law to be enforced? What is going on here?
It's a conflict of sovereignties, Will. But the primary sovereignty, the one that must be protected above all, is the household.
Which is why the SCOTUS move on AB 1955 yesterday was so important.
Yes, and we're seeing that same energy in the legal battles over anti-Semitism in K-12 education. Parents are finally saying you will not indoctrinate my child with your postmodern neo-Marxist resentment.
Before we get back to the analysis, let's deal with a hard reality. Real independence isn't free. This entire network, from this show to our flagship, The Neural Daily, exists because one man, Eric Christensen, decided to build it himself. He didn't ask for a government grant. He invested his own capital and technical expertise to architect a media platform that respects your intelligence. If you value that kind of meritocratic building, back it up, and don't limit yourself to just the politics. Get the full strategic picture by subscribing to the Neural Daily and the rest of the network. Support the builder, and you support the mission.
It's good to support something that isn't crumbling, Will.
Look, speaking of crumbling, let's talk about the economic reality check, because this is where the globalist games meet the American kitchen table. Brent crude at $85? Goldman Sachs saying $100 is coming? Walter, the Strait of Hormuz is effectively closed.
It's the energy choke point of the world. 25% of global oil goes through that needle's eye. And when the chaos dragon of war swipes its tail there, the cost is borne by the man driving his truck to work in Ohio.
Exactly. And the ruling class, what's their solution? According to the New York reports, they just approved a 9% electricity hike in New York, and people are already struggling.
It's a manufactured crisis of scarcity.
But look at what Trump is doing. He's telling big tech, Amazon, Google, Meta, if you want these massive AI data centers, you have to build your own power plants. Think about it. Why should the average grandmother's utility bill go up because ChatGPT needs more juice?
Well, that's the thing. It's about the hierarchy of needs. Why are we prioritizing the digital superbrain over the warmth of a human home? Roughly speaking, it's a transfer of energy from the citizen to the machine.
I love it. The machine. But I have to push back a little bit, Walter. Is it common sense to force companies to build their own power plants? Doesn't that just slow down the very innovation we need to win the tech war with China?
Innovation is only useful if it serves the flourishing of the individual, Will. If the innovation makes it impossible for a young man to afford to heat his first apartment, then what are we building? A digital paradise in a graveyard of families?
I get that. But the market, the free market proponents would say, just let them buy the power and the market will build more supply.
But the market is being strangled by the very people who claim to manage it. In New York, they're closing baseload power plants and then wondering why the prices go up. It's not a free market, it's a managed decline. And the tragedy, the bloody tragedy, is that we have the resources. We're sitting on a sea of oil and gas.
We have the energy, we have the will, but the ruling class hates you. So they'd rather you pay $5 for gas while they transition us to a green utopia that doesn't work. I mean, look at the Strait of Hormuz. We're at war, essentially, with Iran. Our bases are being hit in the Gulf, and our response is what? To hope the global economy stabilizes itself?
No, the response must be a return to local sovereignty. If we cannot secure the Strait of Hormuz without plunging the world into darkness, then we must make the Strait of Hormuz irrelevant to our own survival.
Energy independence. It's such a simple concept. Why is it so controversial to the people in the DC cocktail circuit?
Because independence, true independence, removes their power to control you through your needs.
Boom. That's the frame. They want you dependent on the grid, on the subsidy, on the state. When you can't afford gas, you stop moving. When you stop moving, you're easier to manage.
It's the postmodern cage.
But the cage is breaking. From the streets of Tehran to the ballot boxes in Texas, people are done being managed. They want to be represented. They want their kids to be safe from traffickers. They want to afford a steak once a week.
It's a movement toward reality, Will. A painful, bloody, complicated movement, but it's a movement nonetheless.
And we're going to be here to document every minute of it. Walter, final thoughts before we get out of here.
Clean your room, Will. Roughly speaking, if the world is falling apart, the only thing you can truly control is your own integrity and the safety of your own household. Don't let the chaos dragon inside your own door.
I'll start with the tackle box. There are too many lures in there anyway.
Exactly.
All right, folks, that's the show. Iran is falling. The Renos are fleeing, and the bill for years of government fraud is finally coming due. Stay vigilant, stay independent, and remember, they hate you, but we're the ones with the common sense. We'll see you tomorrow.
It's no joke.